Another Q&A session. I'm Jeff from Total Running Club. This is Ask Coach, an opportunity to give me your questions and I'll happily try my best to answer them. We'll get a bit of an online discussion going. So if you want to ask a question, you just need to type it in as a comment, then I'll feature it on the screen and I will answer it. And I welcome any follow-up comments to what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with me. You can give your own opinions and we'll discuss that. So I've got some questions that have been emailed to me. So we'll go through those as well. So welcome everyone. Hi Naim. Hi Shrafa, how are we doing? If you want a little mention, just let me know you're here. Okay, so let's start with a question from Naim. So yeah, obviously it is Ramadan just now, which means significant change in routine for a lot of people. And it's important to change how you train and to maximize what you can do, maximize the effectiveness of what you do during a fasting period. So not easy. It's something that's very personal to the individual. There's no right or wrong. Obviously, there's two options for really when you're going to do your training if you're fasting, and that means early morning or late afternoon. Actually, there's three options, or later in the evening. So we'll talk about those in a bit of detail. But first priority, of course, is to be safe, which means being very aware of your hydration. Being hungry is not so much the issue, but being hydrated or dehydrated is crucial to manage. So like always with running, you don't really want to be training with a heavy stomach. Empty stomach is fine, but you do of course want to be hydrated. So it's not ideal to break fast and then exercise, but that can be done if you're just having a little bit, so some fruit perhaps, or a little bit of energy, some energy nutrients. But yeah, probably most people are training either in the morning, so you might do it after a good sleep, then you exercise, then you eat before starting the fast, or at the end of the day, just before you break fast, or you have a light breakfast, then you exercise a couple of hours later, then you eat fully after that. So those are really the options, whatever works for you. I always like to advise my athletes not to panic, during Ramadan. Use it as an opportunity to get a bit more rest, at least of the running muscles. You're always going to feel tired when you're fasting. But don't worry about losing fitness. If you can maintain during a fasting month, that's fantastic. So it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a bit of organization. But yeah, hydration is the key consideration for sure. So thanks for that question. VJ, welcome, how are you? How to recover from tendon injury, how to prevent. A difficult one for me to answer that. It depends which tendon we're talking about, where that is. How to prevent, difficult to say. So let's speak generally about injuries. Obviously, I am not a doctor. I wish I was, but I'm not. However, like most serious runners, we have good knowledge of injuries, and certainly from my perspective, I see a lot of my students with niggles and injuries and how they manage that. In my early days of running, I probably covered most injuries myself by making all the mistakes that we tend to make in training. So injury prevention is very important. Being sensible with your training routine will probably prevent most injuries. Everyone's different, of course. You may have some weaknesses from your physiology or other activities. Accidents can cause injuries, but warming up properly, of course, is one of the main prevention techniques. Actually, I've got some questions on that, which I'll come to in a moment. So yeah, be sure to warm up before any hard workout. As I say, I'll talk about that specifically. There's not really much else you can do to prevent injury. Don't do too much mileage too quickly. So having a structured training program, super important. I can't answer that one too specifically without knowing you. So let's talk about warming up. I think that's a nice topic to touch on. I've got a question from Ishmael on this one, who asked me, let me just read this here. What are the correct protocols for warming up before an interval session or easy run? Great question. Very, very important that you know this and you get this one right. So anytime we're asking our body to do something which is not sort of normal, so when we're going to push ourselves, then you need to give the body the opportunity to prepare properly for that. So you don't want to be just suddenly going into a sprinting exercise, for example. That's not particularly wise and a high risk of getting an injury. Some people are more prone to injuries than others. Sometimes it's the strangest of things that can cause an injury. For example, let's say you've just been driving in the car for 3 hours and you then go to run. Your body's been in a position it's not used to. Sometimes things like that could cause a random injury. So definitely important to be aware of things like that. But basically your body needs to be ready to be pushed. So for an easy run or a long run where your pace is probably not going to be very fast, or it shouldn't be particularly fast, then you don't need to worry too much about warming up. You can just get straight into it, but ease into it, always ease into it. First couple of K, first 5-10 minutes should be nice and easy just to get going. We're in a hot country, so that helps. If you're in a cold country, your muscles and your body will be a lot more stiff and cold, and you might need to do a bit more of a warm up. But here, we've got the benefit of not needing that so much. But if you're going to be doing a hard workout, so any kind of quality session on a track or hills, even fartlek, intervals, tempo run, anything which is at a fast running pace or involves elements of fast running, you definitely must warm up fully. And that means doing some dynamic stretching. So it's often quite entertaining in a way, although I shouldn't laugh at this, but if you park your car in the car park of a park and you see people coming in to run, they leave their car and then they start stretching, doing some fairly random and aggressive stretching movements. And that's not the wisest things to do because your body's not ready for that. That you should be doing after the run. So dynamic stretching means warming up through movement. So you want to be doing some running drills, some structured running drills. So I always start with a 10-minute jog. So you're getting the blood flowing, you're getting the muscles working. Then I do drills, 10 minutes of drills. So things like kicking the backside, you're on your toes, little fast steps. There's probably about a dozen exercises that I would do that really exaggerate movement, and you're running constantly during those. And then finish with some strides, so 3 to 4 sets of about 50 meters, fast running, so pushing into it and accelerating. That is a very thorough warm-up, probably takes 15 minutes. I would always do that and always recommend to do that before any quality session. And don't forget to do it before a race. A lot of us forget that a race is the same, and you should really warm up thoroughly before any race. Perhaps the only exception would be a marathon or an ultra marathon, but even then you still want to be doing some easy running and some strides. Okay, bit of a long-winded answer. So we're talking there about warming up. If you just joined us, please type in your questions. I will feature it up on the screen and I will do my best to answer it. We're here for the next 10-15 minutes. Happy to answer anything at all. So please just type in your comments. Okay, while I'm waiting on that, I've got a few more questions people have emailed into me. So someone, who is this? Brian Thanks for the question, Brian. Should I carry water during a run? Just going to actually put these up. So, good question, Brian, and we'll talk about this one. Basically, you don't really want to be carrying anything when you're running. Anything that will interfere with your running form is not advisable. So if you're carrying a bottle of water in a hand, it's definitely going to affect how you run. And I do see that quite a lot when I'm on the roads, particularly people doing long runs. Maybe you picked up a bottle of juice from the garage and you haven't finished it all, so you carry it for half an hour. You'd be surprised how much that can affect your run. It puts you a little bit out of balance, means you're not, there's more tension because you're carrying something. So you don't want to be carrying any phone. Even carrying a set of keys is not ideal. So you don't really need to have water with you on a run unless you're going to be probably going over about 45 minutes. Even if you're thirsty and hot, your body is more than capable of having enough hydration. You're not going to get into any difficulty. So I think a lot of people sort of panic because you get a bit thirsty, and it's fine to be thirsty. In fact, it's good to train for that, because in a race, for sure, you're going to be thirsty when you're pushing hard, and you're not going to stop at a water station and drink half a litre of water. You're going to push through quickly. So don't be scared to feel thirsty during a run. Of course, if it's longer, if it's sort of an hour onwards, then you need to make sure you're hydrated, but better not to then carry anything with you. So no phones, no water. What else might people carry? No wallets, things like that. Free it all up. There's some really good waistbands you can get these days, which are almost zero bounce. So that's definitely a recommended option, or even a pouch on the arm for phones and things, although they will also actually affect how you run. So be careful on that. Okay, so thanks for that, Brian. Please do type in your questions. You must have something to ask me. Free advice, get it now. Let me just put in a couple more while we're waiting from people that have already asked me a few questions. So we've got 5 to 10 more minutes. Let me know if you have any more questions. Okay, so I'll continue with the ones that have been emailed into me. This one is from Rafisa. Thanks for the question, Rafisa. So I want to start running. How do I go about it? Well, firstly, congratulations for getting interested. That's a good first step. Now you need to do it. So a couple of basics, without going into too long an answer. You need to get a few bits and pieces to make sure you run safely. So shoes are obviously an important part of running. You do need a pair of running shoes. Don't just wear sort of gym shoes or general shoes. You want something that's got the right cushion and support to begin with. The early stages of running are where we're probably most likely to pick up an injury, so you want to avoid that at all costs so that you don't lose any gains that you get in the beginning. So good pair of shoes, sweat-resistant gear, probably important, but you don't have to spend a lot of money, just get some basics. If nothing else, make sure your shorts are not too long, don't want them going past your knees. You don't want them too baggy, and you don't want them water absorbing, otherwise you're going to suffer. So really the shoes are probably the most important thing. Start simple, don't be too ambitious, really just sort of enjoy being out there to begin with. Don't worry about time, don't worry about pace. Run based on feel. So maybe go out and run for 20 minutes. Don't sort of set yourself a target of, okay, I'm going to do 10 kgs now. So just see how you feel. Use your exertion level as a benchmark. So don't worry about your heart rate too much, but use your breathing as a measurement. So if you're super out of breath, then just back off a little bit. If you're feeling quite comfortable, then you can maintain that pace or push a little bit harder perhaps. But just go easy. First month is just about getting used to it, seeing what aches and pains you get after it. Don't run every day, so 2 or 3 times a week is more than enough to begin with. See how you cope with that. Then you can start to get a bit more adventurous. So I wouldn't worry about any kind of structure to begin with. Just do some easy running, even mix walking, running. Just getting yourself out and enjoying the exercise is a great starting point. So be patient. In the early days, your fitness is going to go up very, very quickly. That's the beautiful thing about starting off your running journey. You'll make very quick improvements as long as you don't get injured. So keep that in mind. Have some targets. Think about what you want to achieve. Think about why you're doing it. Do not think about doing a marathon. You've got to build up sensibly and safely and patiently. But yeah, maybe a 5K or a 10K race would be a nice target to have. And once you've done a couple of months of running, you can start to incorporate a little bit more structure and speed work into your training, and then you'll really see some improvements. So hopefully that answers the basics of FISA. If you want to join one of our classes, we'd love to see you, and then we can chat about that a little bit more. Okay, one more question, but please type in any questions you've got and I'll answer them. Otherwise we'll wrap up in about 5 minutes, but keep the questions coming if you've got some. This one is from Wendy. Hi Wendy. Can I improve my 10K time by 30 minutes? I don't know. Hopefully. I don't know what your 10K time is, you didn't tell me. 30 minutes is a pretty big improvement. If your 10K time is already 50 minutes, then no, you cannot. If your 10K time is 2 hours, yes, you can. Joking apart, be careful how you set sort of improvement targets. You want to have a target that's realistic and achievable. There's no point having a massive target that might end up demotivating you. But yeah, we should always be striving for improvement. How do we get that improvement? That's the question. So what is going to enable you to have a significant increase in performance? Many factors. Of course, your training, how you structure your running is going to be a major point. General lifestyle, so components such as nutrition, sleep, stress, recovery, all of those things very important and probably play more of a role than we realize. But training is probably what most people think of, and if you want to improve and you want to continually improve, then you need variety in your training. That's probably the most important point. That means doing different types of running and knowing the objective of every run that you're doing. So there's a lot in that topic. I think the most important point, and it's a point I have to remind myself with my training. Okay, I'm going to go run today at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Okay, maybe I want to do an hour's run. What is the point of that run? What am I looking to achieve? Is it just a slow, easy paced run? Where do I want my exertion level to be? Is it just building mileage, or am I pushing cardio? Am I really doing a quality workout? So you need to know what you're wanting to do, and you need to prepare for that. So you need to manage your day so that you're ready to do whatever type of run you want. Now that doesn't mean that it's particularly complicated. It just means a little bit of planning. Life always gets in the way. Excuse me. So we don't always end up doing what we want to do. There's always other time pressures, and that can be challenging to manage. But in general, you should have a little bit of a structure and a plan to what you want to do. One important rule perhaps to mention, especially if you're following a training plan, never try and play catch up. So if you get injured, or if you have a busy week and you end up skipping a lot of runs, don't try and cram them all in at the end of the week, or don't double up the next week. That's going to give some problems. Might lead to injury, might burn you out, might lower your immune system. So it's always tempting, especially when you're a very regular runner. If you've, I didn't get my run in today, I'll just do some extra tomorrow. Just be careful on that. Yeah. So can you improve? Yes, you can. Yes, you should. And mix up your training is the easiest way to do that. Oh, here's a question from Surya Barinal. Should you not be working? Okay, it's maybe lunchtime. So, hi Sue, will we burn more calories exercising while fasting, or no difference? Okay, well, you won't burn calories, but you won't consume calories. Yeah, in theory, definitely Ramadan or a fasting period is an opportunity to lose weight. Weight gain or weight loss is very simply defined in terms of calorie deficit or calorie excess. So if you consume more calories in a day than you burn, your body will store those calories as fat, very simply. That's what the body is designed to do, is protecting you for the future, for when you get hungry. And we don't need that, because we have a modern, convenient lifestyle. So basically, the reason any of us put on weight is because we have a calorie excess. We're taking in more calories than our body is burning. And it's so simple, but it's something a lot of us lose control of, either for eating comfort food or junk food or junk calories, or just not being aware actually of how much we're putting into our body. So of course, when you're fasting, you're not consuming those calories, and therefore you should be in a calorie deficit for the day. However, one of the challenges, of course, with fasting is at the end of the day, when we break fast, we're super hungry, and there's a temptation to go a bit crazy at the buffet or whatever. So a bit of moderation is definitely required. Easier said than done. But yeah, I think fasting is a great opportunity to exercise control of diet. Hi Faris, how are you? Good question. I've got good news for you. We are currently in the process of expanding our classes again. And yes, we aim to have a session very soon at MPSJ track. Shah, I'm not sure, but yeah, I hope to start a session there, maybe at the Panasonic. So please bear with us. We've just updated a few sections on our website, totalrunningclub.com. So if you look at the classes pages, there's a bit more information on there than before, and we will be growing that over the coming months, starting after Ramadan. Of course, we're still an MCO, we still have to be careful. We still need to make sure that the groups can be safely managed, and yeah, that looks like it's going to be a challenging time still for the next 3 to 6 months, but we design our classes that can be safely managed, so we hope to see people there. While we're talking about the website, if anyone hasn't had a look recently, please go to Total Running Club. A few things to point out. We have really cool community content. So if you click on the Join Community button, which is on the top of the website, you can join our mailing list, and every week we're sending nicely put together mail, which you'll receive on a Sunday, which has got lots of free content. We've got articles, we've got news, we've got podcasts, we've got music playlists, we've got free workouts. So we're putting a lot of effort every week to design that. It's really awesome. Please join the community and make sure you get that. It's completely free. We've also got corporate sessions. We do online corporate sessions. If anyone wants to get their business involved and get fitter as a company, it's great fun. It's great for team building. So please check that out on the website also. And we've got our classes and personal coaching as well. Okay, a couple more questions coming in. We're going to wrap up at 5:30, so you've got a few minutes if you want to give me any last questions. Speaking of missing a few runs in training plan, what's the best thing to do? Yeah, good question. The two options you point out basically are your options. You either move on and accept that it's gone, or yes, you can repeat the whole week. I think if you just miss one run in a week's training, then don't worry about it. Move on to the next week. But yeah, if you have a bad week and you don't really do any of your training, then yes, repeat that week. Kind of depends of what kind of plan you're following and what stage you're at on that plan. But yeah, those are essentially your two options. You've got to be disciplined with your running training. I listen to a lot of podcasts on high performance and high performers, and one common trait of elite athletes or successful athletes is patience, diligence, attention to detail. So there are no shortcuts unless you're hugely talented, and most of us are not. We need to work at it. It's easy to improve, but you've got to be patient and you've got to put in the hard work. So you cannot expect results if you skip 50% of your workout. So of course it happens from time to time, and there's no point getting stressed about that. But yeah, those are your options, I think. So thanks for that question. Okay, last couple of minutes. If nobody has anything else, then we're going to wrap up. Thanks for your time. We'll put an edited version of the video onto YouTube and Facebook. And the next session is in 2 weeks with Adele Wong from Nutrition Track. We've got a nutrition Q&A session where you can delve a bit deeper into nutrition questions. Okay, so thanks as always. Please check out our website, totalrunningclub.com, and please make sure you've signed up to the community and you'll get some fantastic content every week. Hope to see you soon. Thanks very much.